You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Craven, the hunter, who uses all the methods of the animals.
This Thursday.
Once you're on his list, there's only one way off.
Are you like your father?
He puts evil into the world. I get rid of people like him.
Who's next?
Witness the making of a new Marvel villain.
You think you have some kind of honor? You're a criminal, just like our father.
Aaron Taylor Johnson is Craven the Hunter. Rated R. Under 17 on admitted without parent. In theaters Thursday.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings,
Why are you listening to this show?
the podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by Smirnoff. We do game days. Please drink responsibly. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York.
Our thanks to Smirnoff and to DraftKings for putting together Sunday's event where we watched football with some of our fans. We will be doing more and more of that in coming years. I want to ask everyone here, when I give you this list from Matt Warren of people who have more or fewer rushing touchdowns than Josh Allen, and the list is O.J. Simpson, Herschel Walker, Terrell Davis, Jamal Lewis, LeGarrette Blount, Roger Craig, Tiki Barber, Chris Johnson, Arian Foster, Nick Chubb, McCaffrey. All of those names are surprising to you, no? Like every last one of them is surprising, no?
Except LeGarrette Blount.
Yeah.
LeGarrette Blount scored like 20 touchdowns one season.
He did.
So did Raheem Mostert.
Led the NFL in touchdowns, I believe.
And McCaffrey's not that old. I mean, McCaffrey still has his time.
I feel like McCaffrey has led the league in touchdowns a couple of times. How does he have fewer rushing touchdowns than Josh Allen?
But he's been hurt a couple of years as well, yeah. So Terrell Davis, not that surprising considering that injuries cut his career short. Otherwise, he'd be far ahead of Josh Allen. The one that really surprises me, shocks me, is O.J. Simpson. That's crazy.
Yeah, we're going to get to this game that I don't know what the name of, whether it's Is He Human or Is It Human?
So in 2016, LeGarrette Blount had 18 touchdowns. That is the only season he had double-digit touchdowns of his career.
Okay. Thank you for that. We will get to either Is It Human or Is He Human in a second. But Samson, give me the rest of the Soto stuff that we didn't get to yesterday because, and I've banned Mike Ryan today because college football has indeed hijacked this show for the last 8 days and we needed to talk about other stuff. And so Mike Ryan banned today and we've got more baseball and basketball and old guy presents and a shirt that's older than everybody who's here because we're trying to have some range today. Give me some more Soto stuff that we didn't get to.
Yeah, I just want to point out that when you do not get a player like Juan Soto, you have to start with a strategy. And Brian Cashman came out and wanted to compliment his owner for the effort that they made, how uncomfortable they were going to the heights they went to keep Soto. But when pressed about what's next, he basically did not hesitate by saying, we will improve the team. We just don't know exactly what that is. And there are still top-of-the-board free agents available with Corbin Burns and Max Fried. Even on the hitting side, Teoscar Hernandez is out there, Christian Walker. And will the Yankees reallocate the money? That's what everyone wants to know. But who would make Nick Turturro happy? And I'm going to tell you this right now, looking at his second video, his house is a damn mess. Look at the background of where he shot that video. That's not John Turturro directing. That's like a selfie showing that he hasn't put his clothes away like some sort of hoarder. So I believe that that sort of personality will never be satisfied because he doesn't even remember how he felt when Garrett Cole turned his hat around and put a Boris hat on after winning the World Series and then went to the Yankees from the Astros. So for me, Mr. Turturro is a little inconsistent, and I would dismiss his rantings.
You didn't need the judge's house. He doesn't look like a hoarder just because you're a neat freak.
Just a laundry room.
Like,
right,
it's not fair what you're doing to him there.
Look at the counter space.
Yeah,
the laundry room's in the background.
But you're a neat freak.
And David's right. Plus, Nick Turturro had a plant growing out of his head. David, I have one quick question. David, here's my question for you. Are you in a dungeon right now? Is there like someone on a rack being tortured just off camera?
It's a visual joke. It's better that way, quietly, without anyone mentioning it.
Okay.
Let's play our game show now, because he's confused, but he doesn't know that Samson is just in the same room that he was in when we were doing press conference content from pretending it was from a Dolphin game with him.
Okay.
He thought Samson was joining us from a dungeon in New York. We tricked your father into thinking that Samson is in a dungeon somewhere in New York as opposed to right here with us today.
Wait, he's here with us?
In fairness to Greg, it is jarring to see a plant growing out of someone's head. He's thrown off by it.
Yes, let's go out to David Samson, who now joins us clearly from Burbank, California, and a game show set because he has moved from the dungeon downstairs
Dad, you see that?
to the game show set where he and Jeremy are going to play the game. Is it human or is he human? Let's see the sound that executive producer Chris Cote has selected.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to play.
Is it human?
All right,
with David Samson.
Go ahead, Jeremy. How many questions do you have for David Samson? Take it away.
Dan, we have more than enough questions for David Samson. Up to 20 questions for David Samson about life and about love as we play a game of Is He Human with David Samson. David, your first question. A player on your team asks to miss some time for the birth of their first child, but you're in a September playoff race. What do you do?
Absolutely not. Have her induced on an off day, obviously.
Judges?
Yeah,
not
that's
human.
Absurd. The Marlins are in a September playoff race. Get out of here. It's not human. Not human in any way. Question number two.
Now we're going to move over to the love category, David. David, what's the number of times in your life that you have felt loved? Judges?
Oh, wow. Nothing?
It's
a moment of silence.
Stared blankly ahead.
Wait a minute.
A moment of silence for those loved and lost.
You have never felt love? Jeez.
Okay.
Well, this game's going great.
Wait a minute. You've never felt love? That can't be real. You've never felt love or felt loved?
There was that time in college, the first night of freshman year, when Valita Van Horn loved me. I thought.
Made up.
That's not a real name.
That's all made up.
McGillicuddy.
The third question.
That is her name.
You're at grocery store checkout, David Samson, and they ask if you would like to round up for charity. What do you do?
Nope.
Oh, no.
Judges?
David, you don't have to, you could just be like, you round up sometimes, David. Come on.
Listen, people know, so I'm not going to let you do this to me. I'm very charitable. But don't talk to me about the roundup. I'm not interested. I want to give charity, which I do, and raise money by all the things I do. I don't do the roundup.
Not the Bar and Davy either. David Samson, question number 4. What is the most emotional moment that you have had with one of your children?
The time that I do remember this, actually.
Well said.
There was that time that the kids had when they got into college. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Making it up.
College, good one. Judges?
Not human.
Yeah, no, that is human. That's human. What do you mean that's not human?
That's
Just not believable.
When they're born, nothing.
Those details.
No, that was a good one.
Touching.
Yeah. The responsibility of raising a child, I'm sure, was very exciting for David Samson and the mess.
When my first child was born, I remember leaving my wife then at the time in the hospital. I went back to my apartment and I basically looked at the doorman and said, I am screwed. And I went upstairs and I watched a movie. That is a true story. After my first daughter was born, I was so freaked out.
What movie?
Yes. Two movies, Billy. But the first movie I watched was a movie about childhood called She's Having a Baby. And I remember this so well because I thought it would help inform me what to do. And I didn't know what to do, so I just never went back to the hospital until, I was forced to.
That day?
It was that. She was born at 9:53 p.m.
David, real quick, how do you spell Veleda Van Horn? Because I'm trying to Google her to ascertain whether this is a real person.
VELEEDAVANHORN. Maybe an E, maybe not. I get confused with Dave Van Horn, no relation.
What was the second movie you watched on the birth of your child? And did you have any positive feelings with the birth of your children, or was it all fear and responsibility?
It was all fear and responsibility, and I believe it was a Jenna Jameson movie.
Whoa!
Keep going, Jeremy.
I appreciate the follow-up questions from the judges. Here, David, you're on an airplane, and a couple asks if you will switch seats with one of them so they can sit together. What do you say?
Is it an equal exchange, I always say? Is it aisle for aisle or window for window?
Sure.
Must it be?
Judges?
Yeah, it must be.
Must it be?
Yeah.
Does it
I'll only
change
do
the
an
answer?
even switch. Because frankly, half the time when a couple says that, one of the parts of the couple doesn't actually want to sit with the other. So I'm doing a favor.
That's right. That's a made-up stat.
No, I think he's right about that.
Half the time.
Yeah. I don't know if it's half the time, but there are times where that person does it. They're thankful that you did not change.
This one's human for me. This one's human for me.
It's human.
All right. It's got to be an equal change. You will not. If someone asks you, you will not go window to aisle.
I will not go aisle to middle. That's for damn sure.
I'm pretty sure my dad one time denied a mother and a small child. We were traveling with like a big family trip, and like a mother and child asked you to switch, and you wouldn't do it.
It may have been that aisle situation. I'm beholden to the aisle. I won't give up my aisle. Now, I will go aisle for aisle. I'll do the even.
But it was like a lady and her young child. It
That's
wasn't
not
like
my fault.
Yeah, but he was going to get stuck in the middle seat, and that's not fair to Greg. You want to sit next to your child? Buy a seat next to your child. How about that?
I got a 3-hour flight. I'm going to sit in the middle? Hell no.
Episode 2 of Izzy Human, starring Greg Cote.
That kind of thing.
An aisle for an aisle. I feel like Izzy should be the host of Izzy Human. I feel like that would be the way.
Why did I come into
Is it? Yeah, it's a fine.
Jeremy,
can't
keep
even
going.
do this right?
Keep going, Jeremy.
How many people do you trust, David?
It's a great question. It's hard to get my trust because all I am is disappointed. I used to trust Dan, and that has really fallen apart since I started at Metalark.
Same.
Did you know him well before?
No, but I trusted him.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It's ruined my career.
Yeah, but you started
your
at a
career's
place.
just starting.
Don't be nice, Dan.
No, I don't trust many people because why would I set myself up to be disappointed? It's way better not to trust anyone, and then you feel good all the time.
Judges? The answer's 0? You trust 0 people. The answer's 0.
Are you telling me that you trust anyone without verifying?
Yeah, I trust my wife that way. I trusted my brother that way, yes.
2-0 you.
Okay, so nothing for you.
You don't trust Jeff Conine?
David, Jeff Conine.
You own a bus together.
When you can't trust your partner, you got to verify.
The Niner.
All right. Thank you, Greg, for that contribution. We will come back to the game show that is sweeping the nation of David Samson and Jeremy, and it should be Izzy hosting that show, I feel like, just because Is He Human is absolutely a show that has legs here. Thank you, Stugotz.
You got it.
Hey DraftKings fans, are you ready to elevate your game day snacking experience? This college football season, we're feeling the cheesiest with Cheez-It. That's right, delicious Cheez-It crackers not only satisfy your snack cravings for game day excitement, but they are also amplifying your football watching experience with a new daily fantasy sports game. Best of all, since Cheez-Its is made with 100% real cheese, the game is 100% free to play with a chance of winning real cash. Be sure to carefully select your favorite Cheez-It flavor to snack on. White cheddar, extra toasty, or maybe you're an OG fan, while you select your weekly players for college football's cheesiest challenge all season long. So snack and play like a champ with Cheez-It.
Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com/Cheez-It for full details.
Don Le Batard.
Oh, I like firing people. So I take the opportunity to fire whenever I possibly can because I can use it as a learning experience for them and try to help them out and try to point out what they did wrong. But in this case, the employee was enough levels below where I was that I did not do the firing, but I had it done within moments of discovery.
I'm just
I love the idea.
I like firing people. It's just absurd. It's absurd.
Stugotz.
I'm talking about people who I fire who deserve it, who have done something that actively requires me to fire them. It is my unadulterated pleasure to do so.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
We are not done, Greg. We're still doing show. We got 25 minutes in the segment. That clock right there, it's been there for a long time. It helps keep you on track if you pay attention to it. It's big red numbers right there in front of your face. And we've got 24 and a half minutes left in this segment.
It did feel like an ending. The game show was over. It did. It felt like an ending.
Yes.
I took my headsets off. I put them back on quickly, though.
All-time show moment right there. Greg just started getting up.
Just the clock is right there in front of him. It's placed
It's actually
there.
not in front of me. Stugotz is in front of me.
Okay.
You know, he should have a clock on his head.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead and find the footage for me of how it is he just took his headset off while staring straight at the clock, and we will show you what Greg Cote does. Greg Cote is a bit angry today because I don't know, Chris, as I ask you this question, if there's anything professionally that gives your father more personal pride than his baseball Hall of Fame vote. And he is mad at the Veterans Committee for forsaking what it was the writer recommendation on who should be in the Hall of Fame by putting a sick Dave Parker in and Dick Allen. He doesn't think those two should be in because they're going over the head of the sports writers who vote on the Hall of Fame, and they're saying, we don't care what your opinions are on this. We have Veterans Committee power to basically veto what Greg Cote thinks with his vote.
Right. That's exactly right. It used to be called the Veterans Committee. It's now called the Classic Era Committee for some reason. But they're usurping and disrespecting the vote of the BBWAA members, and I think there's like 270 of us. Like, it's a big group whose collective decision is if you get 75%, you're a Hall of Famer. If you get 74.9, maybe next year. And now this committee every year is letting in guys who were deemed not Hall of Famers back when they were actually on the ballot, not on this made up, age appropriate ballot, but right after they played. And to give you an example, keep in mind you got to get 75%. When Dick Allen was on the actual ballot, the most he ever got was 18.9%.
Wow.
Okay?
So not even close.
Not even close.
Right.
Dave Parker was a little closer. He got 24.5%. At some point, you got to trust the people who are actually doing the voting after somebody's career. Dave Parker hasn't had a hit in 20 years. He didn't get any better. And I'm not singling these two guys out because they're both borderline Hall of Famers. Maybe they should have gotten more votes in their time.
You are singling them out, though. They're the guys who got in who are making you angry.
Well, they're the guys who got in this week, most recently.
But Greg wasn't alone. Like, a lot of people don't feel like, Dick Allen, Dave Parker should be in the Hall of Fame. And to have a next level of defense for those guys after the Hall of Fame voters have said, no, we don't think he's a Hall of Famer is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it demeans the Hall of Fame to have your main voters overridden by this very small group. I think the Classic Era Committee, I think, has 7, 8 members. I could be off, but it's a very small number. And that when you have that few number, you're very susceptible to skullduggery. Like if there's a member of that committee, and you're Dave Parker, you go out there, and I'm not saying it happened, but
wait a minute, hold on a second, hold on.
Time to throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
You're good.
I think Joe Torre might be on the committee, as an example, okay? If Joe Torre has managed or played with somebody who is also under consideration, that's a conflict of interest.
So you're saying you're more qualified to vote on the Hall of Fame than Joe Torre?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
He is. He doesn't have the conflict.
I'm more independent.
You asked Michael and I.
Yeah, I'm interested in your opinion. I don't follow it necessarily, but I'm curious. If you don't want me to, I'll stop doing that. Yeah.
He gets so mad at me every time I do that.
It's so funny every time. The fact that he asks you guys for your Hall of Fame opinions, he does use your opinions because you watch more baseball than he does. Then he says, if you don't want my opinion, I won't ask anymore, because he's trying to bequeath upon you the same pride of Hall of Fame voting that he has, which you don't have because you don't respect anything your father hands down to you, including that shirt, which is going to be in his will.
Right. No, the shirt won't. Believe me. No, I don't. That
You're taking that to the grave, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to wear this.
We should bury him in it. We should bury him in just that shirt
and the deck shoes.
I don't think
Nothing in
Chris.
between.
I don't think your sons realize just how lucky they are. I would love if my dad had a Hall of Fame vote growing up, and he would come home and ask me what I thought.
Yeah,
that is amazing, man.
No, I honestly take pride in it. I study the names. I try to give him the best answers I can, but I see he has a vote, so I'm thinking, oh man, these votes that people have.
I take my vote very seriously, and you all can make fun of it all you want. When I say that I'm more qualified than Joe Torre, obviously I mean I'm more independent than Joe Torre.
That's not what I asked you. I asked you if you were more qualified, and then you said you were. And you are making the distinction, I'm less biased than Joe Torre.
I think independent thought is a big part of qualification. Okay, I pore over these names. Okay, I spend hours going over this Hall of Fame ballot, and I don't want to eliminate anybody who doesn't deserve to get in. So I take it very seriously. I don't just fill out the ballot willy-nilly in 20 minutes. I research it.
You're not having any fun with this. You're taking this very seriously.
Well, it's an important job. Yeah, he's been given. I mean, in Greg's defense, he's been a sports writer for like 40 years. It's not just like
longer than that.
Some Tom, Dick, and Harry over here that they gave a random vote. He didn't win a contest.
I take it very seriously.
You've mentioned that a few times now.
Okay. Greg, let me ask you a question, because you've had a Baseball Hall of Fame vote now for what, like 8-10 years maybe?
A little more than that now, probably closer to 15.
Okay.
He got my vote, right?
No.
Well,
I gave up my vote, and then all of a sudden he had a vote. That's
I think
not
you
how
sold
that
your
worked.
vote, and then Greg got
my vote, but I didn't get money for it.
You get a baseball writer's vote when you have, when you've covered a team or gone to teams' games for at least 10 years in a row.
That's you just have to attend one game for 10 years in a row?
Yes.
Really?
That's it?
Yes.
I should have a vote.
You have to stay the whole game.
I'm three times eligible for this now.
No one. This is my dad. Every baseball game we go to, around the seventh inning.
Yep.
I'm ready whenever you are.
Yeah.
Well, you got that right.
Takes it very seriously.
That long, huh?
If I'm in the stands, oh my God. Keep in mind, we're covering the Marlins, which is a hinterlands of baseball.
Well, Greg, I have a question for you. So since you've only had your vote for, maybe a little bit over a decade, you probably didn't get an opportunity for Dave Parker to go into the Hall of Fame. Now, you might be someone who may have thought of voting him in. You didn't get an opportunity to. Now the Veterans Committee comes in and they put him in when you may have voted for him. Would you have voted for Dave Parker to go into the Hall of Fame?
I would have to do more research on what his career was. I know that there's a baseballreference.com, which I really respect, has black ink, gray ink on Hall of Fame standards, on somebody's Hall of Fame numbers, career numbers relative to Hall of Famers. And Dave Parker's close.
I love him as a player. Loved him as a player in the 70s. I associate him with having the biggest arm in the game, being physically more menacing as a batter than just about anybody.
But you do have a committee that's comprised of former players. Greg Maddux is on this committee. Jack Morris is on this committee. Ryan Sandberg, Rhino is on the committee. Dan, they do have relationships with certain players.
Yeah.
It does seem odd that the writers, who aren't biased, are telling you, hey, this guy's not a Hall of Famer, and they're just putting you in.
The writers aren't biased?
I would like to think the writers are less biased and don't have the relationships that the former players have.
But how about Stugotz, the reason I lost my Hall of Fame vote, which is the bias of them having the moralities to get everyone out of the Hall of Fame who might be close to steroids, so Barry Bonds isn't in your Hall of Fame and Pete Rose aren't in your Hall of Fame. It's not the same kind of bias, but it's a bias to attach your moralities to all this shit.
I'm pretty sure Roberto Alomar didn't get into the Hall of Fame till his second time around because people just didn't like him. And then the second time around, he got in with 90%. So it was the writers just making a point of keeping him out as a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I voted for Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds every year that they were on the ballot. I continue to vote for A-Rod. I don't necessarily give a lifetime sentence to the guys associated with steroids, depending on when it happened in their career and how they did afterward. Now, the one area that's tough is if there are off-field problems related to, criminal activity or alleged criminal activity.
It's a museum. It's a museum.
Meaning?
I don't care about your moralities.
Okay, but some
What were you as a baseball player?
Okay, that's.
Okay, but then you're biased too.
Well, it's
you're
his
biased.
vote, though.
That's fine. It is his vote. It used to be mine, but that's fine.
I got a question about, can Greg ever lose his vote other than doing some ostentatious stunt where he tries to sell the vote online?
I have no idea.
My father turned in his Heisman vote. I was very mad at him. Didn't even tell me. Just turned in his Heisman vote as an act of conscience. Just back to the Heisman.
Well, maybe he
should have given it to you?
No, I didn't think. I just was hoping he would keep it and continue voting.
Okay.
Well, what is that process? He called someone and he said, I'd like to hand you my vote, please.
He sent an email.
He did that?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, he sent an email. He resigned as a Heisman voter because he was no longer covering college football on television.
I would pay thousands of dollars to read that email because I just thought about how my dad emails and I'm like, oh my God, there's no way this was like
All right, find
to whom it may concern.
All right, fine. Go ahead and find. Call my mother here. Call my father and find out what the reporting on this.
I want Poppy to read the email if possible.
Oh my God! Sure. Let's see what we've got there.
Stugotz here. Right now, my friends over at Simply Safe are extending their massive Black Friday deal for our Batard Show listeners. Simply Safe is the home security I trust to keep my home and family safe. I've been telling you that for years. This is your last chance to protect your home at Simply Safe's lowest prices of the year. Simply Safe is a new way to protect your home that stops intruders before they break into your home. Old school systems only take action once someone is already inside your home. That's too late. Simply Safe's Active Guard outdoor protection changes the game by preventing crime before it even happens. Simply Safe is extending its massive Black Friday deal for our listeners. This week only, you can take 50% off any new system with a select professional monitoring plan. This is your last chance to claim their best offer of the year. Head to simplysafe.com/DLB to claim your discount and make sure your home is safe this season. Don't wait. This offer won't last long. Keep your home, your family, and your peace of mind protected with Simply Safe. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
The Emirates NBA Cup is here. You can win big getting in on all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. There's sure to be rim-rattling slams and no-look passes that bring the crowd to their feet. Get behind your favorite players and the prop bets you can make on DraftKings, the home of NBA player props. New DraftKings customers bet just $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook. Every point counts. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code DAN, that's code DAN, D-A-N, for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball.
Don Le Batard.
He has been great. He's made great hires.
I said all.
We've said all.
He said all.
We've said all.
Everyone has said everything.
First time I heard any of this, Greg.
Everything you're saying,
It's all been said.
It's all been said.
Okay, you got to understand one thing.
Stugotz.
Me maximum.
That's
Until
right.
I say it, it hasn't been said.
Boom.
Okay, understand that.
You're the mayor.
Until I say it, it hasn't been said.
Me maximum. Me maximum.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Let's go back out to Burbank, California, and now we've got the proper game show host in there where Izzy Gutierrez, Izzy, is going to join us and do the game showing. But do you have, Samson, something for us on what Greg Cote is alleging, that he's more qualified to vote on the Hall of Fame than Joe Torre?
Yeah,
More independent.
Well, I just want to inform you, Greg, the reason for these committees is to really right the wrongs that are done by the writers for whatever their biases are. So these committees were formed in order to ensure that the plaque room in Cooperstown is properly represented the way baseball wants the plaque room to be represented. And when the writers do not follow and do what they're supposed to do, there's a cleanup process. And so that's what these committees do. They're in charge of cleanup.
There he is. Now time for the game show that is sweeping the nation. Is he human?
Is it?
Well, Izzy now. Izzy.
Is it Gutierrez?
Izzy Gutierrez joins us now. Go ahead and take it from there, Izzy.
Thank you, Dan. We are further contributing to Jeremy Tachet's mental health issues. He was doing a fine job here. But, hey, you got me now. For the game, we're trying to figure out if this thing is human. By the way, I'm swimming in this jacket. Your name, David Samson, also sounds computer-generated. Like the son of Sam kind of sounds like a robot name. But anyway, next question.
Weird aside.
Do you feel music lyrics without the use of drugs?
Of course. I love love songs. Chicago, Hard Habit to Break, Hard to Say I'm Sorry.
Sounds like a generated list that AI did, but we're going to go ahead with human on that one.
Human. That was human. That's a legitimate human answer.
Proud of you. Good job, David.
David Samson feels music.
He loves love songs. Doesn't love his kids.
Chicago. He doesn't know how to feel love, but he knows how to sing about it. Go ahead, Izzy.
All right, it's the NBA Finals. A player who just had 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists comes up to the podium, but he brings his 2-year-old child. Your thoughts?
I almost fired a manager for bringing his kids onto the dais of his press conference like it was some sort of nursery school. We have a job to do.
Yep.
And I was at the Heat game yesterday, and during the national anthem, there were a bunch of Heat players like holding their kids in their arms. I was worried about their backs hurting or something bad happening to them. Oh no, they were holding kids. I was watching this happen. I am quite against that. Do your job and then move on. Now, I've taken photos with my kids after press conferences, but you wait for the media to be done.
All right, we're back.
We get a ruling?
Yeah, not human. He's got like two answers that have proven humanity. The rest of them have disgraced him as a non-human. What else do you have, Izzy?
Okay, Rami Malek won a Primetime Emmy Award for his starring role in which TV show?
It's not the Menendez brothers. It's not the Dahmer story. What is this a human question? I don't even understand.
Okay.
Can I steal?
Follow-up question. Domo arigato.
Oh, I never watched Mr. Robot. I never watched it.
Robot judges?
Yes, I don't know. That seems like a bad question.
It's like
Wrong game question. It's a leading question.
It's like when you're on a website and it says like pick every picture that has
a traffic light,
an Emmy Award winner in it.
Okay,
The
let's do
robots
that
can't
then.
do it.
Can we do that? All right, first question. Holding doors open in public. This one's tricky because you're a bit of a germaphobe, right? But that also could be you just don't want germs for your computer system. So holding doors open in public, your thoughts?
I actually hold doors open for women, but say to them, is it okay if I do this? Because I don't want to look as though I'm doing something wrong.
You
But
say all of that?
Holy hell.
Yes, I actually do. And then in a door that goes like this, a revolving door, men are supposed to go first. So I will say, I'm going first because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You announce
you
it.
Push it.
You say all these things?
Judges,
Not human. Not human.
Sexist robot. Not just a robot, but a sexist robot.
Yeah,
I don't
overly
think
polite
that's sexist.
robots.
I'm being helpful. I told you guys the story of me in the elevator with women, and it happened yesterday at the Elser. And the woman was happy I said it.
Just don't say that, David. Just
Chris, now I'm going to bring this up again because she thanked me because we were getting out at the same floor and then we made the same right turn where the rooms were, and I said, hey, my room is blank and I am not following you. She said, thank you so much.
David, just go to the door first and walk out. My point is you're in the right. Your thought process is correct. Just don't say it. Just go to the front of the elevator and walk out first.
Ladies first. I'm a narrator.
One of the funny things that when John Amici gets on an elevator with a woman and she holds her bag too close to her chest, he will say to her, "If I wanted your bag, I'd just take it." But he's giant. He's 6'10", 300 pounds. David Samson gets off on a floor, and they're like, "Where's his parents? Like, what happened?" They're not afraid that David Samson is following them to the room. They're afraid that he's going to hide in their bag.
Dan, my move when people do that is to clutch my possessions. Like, I'm scared of you, too.
Izzy, let's close out Izzy Human. What else do you have?
All right, this is a tricky one because it's a difficult question for real humans, okay? Describe the flavor of Dr. Pepper.
It is syrupy.
Not a flavor.
It's got bubbles, and it's it makes me think of David Naughton.
Judges?
He can't taste.
He lost taste during COVID, but how would you describe syrupy? Is not Dr. Pepper is like a sparkly root beer, isn't it? Like, how would you describe what Dr. Pepper tastes like?
I'm going to steal this from comedian James Acaster. It tastes like a sexy battery. a sexy battery.
Okay. Thank you,
I like that.
Izzy. We'll see if we check in with you
I
again.
feel like Izzy's going off script.
That's okay. There was no script. It's one of the joys of Izzy Human, as it that was supposed to be hosted by Jeremy until we changed it. I wanted to play some sound for you guys. I decided that. We've got a Bucks owner, a former Bucks owner, saying the following about college football. This is Mark Lazary, and he wants to basically buy teams, and college football seems to be open for business. Phil Knight got ahead of the game before everybody. He's in the Oregon press box as Nike's owner, and he's calling plays because many years ago he figured out that I could just run a program. It'll be a lot of fun. And it's part of why it is that Oregon has no preordained right to be at the top of college football. It was built by Nike. You should see their weight room. It's crazy how Oregon got into the game because Phil Knight's like, yeah, I got Nike money. I just want to own this program. Here is Mark Lazary talking about investing in college sports.
I think it's a phenomenal opportunity. And I think what you're going to see is you're going to see a number of schools selling their teams. And the reason for that...
To whom?
To folks like us. Like, we're bidding on a couple teams, I can't tell you. But in essence, what we would do is buy 51% of the team. And, I think if you look at a bunch of these programs, they're making $50, $100 million off of their football program, off of their basketball program. So it's a way for universities, by the way, because under federal law, they've got to offer scholarships in all these different sports. So they've got to update their facilities. So one of the things they want to do is sort of say, okay, great, my football program makes $100 million. We'll sell 50%, that's $50 million. Do a 10 multiple on that, 15 multiple, that's 500, 750 million. That'll come for them to sort of fix different things at the university. So you're going to start seeing more of that.
It's where we're headed, right? I mean, John Skipper, our CEO, has an investment in Unrivaled, and I'm watching these rich guys get into the game on stuff like this. Why wouldn't you try to buy a college program? It seems like where we're headed.
Yeah, and in many ways it can solve some of the issues of inequity within college sports, because now you can take that money, as he's pointing out, and now you can spend it on all the other things rather than kind of be stuck in this place where the football program is all that matters and everything else kind of falls by the wayside.
Once you're getting into the game, Stugotz, where you're hiring Adrian Wojnarowski and Andrew Luck as middle managers, you're going to eventually...
You're not far off from ownership.
You're going to have to eventually get to a space where the person atop your program is not a group of people. It's one person who knows how to milk your program for profit. David, what do you think about what's being said there?
Well, you wanted yesterday, there was a lot of talk, hey, we don't want a salary cap. Well, guess what? There's no salary cap in college football, and now they're going to act like professional teams. And forget NILs and where players are really free agents every year. You're going to have owners of teams come in and decide that they want their program to be the Yankees. And then that'll be the end of the conference system, because teams won't want to share revenue with other teams in the Big 10 or the Big 18 or the Pac-2. No, they're going to want to maximize the revenue that they can get. It'll be a bunch of independents like Notre Dame doing TV deals. This sort of situation will change college sports and make it professional sports in a very Wild West way. It's coming.
But it might be better. I think of something, you know what it reminds me of? What he's talking about? Everyone's like, oh, you're going to buy Michigan or whatever. I think about Welcome to Wrexham. Bunch of rich guys go buy a bottom, down on its luck college program and say, you know, we're going to make Liberty the biggest college football program in the nation.
Yeah.
And at that point, what David's talking about is like Liberty plays in whatever, the SoCon or whatever. There's no money in that. We got to go on our own. We got to sell our own TV deal. We all got to make our own kind of independent deal. And I think that might be good. It's good. It spreads it out. It decentralizes it from the Power 5 schools and all the things that we complain about that Stugotz is all for. It was like, well, Alabama should be in the college playoff. We kind of get a little bit more parity across the nation.
We should buy FIU. We should buy that football program. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you. Dan, we have to do this.
We'd have to bid against Pitbull.
And by
for
we,
it.
you have to do this. Yes.
FAU, FIU, make Ray Lewis the coach. The thing that I find most interesting about this, and I've told you before, David Samson's Nothing Personal podcast covers sports business better than any I've heard, and what he does with Skipper and Pablo on the Sporting Class is the single best hour of sports business that I have ever heard anywhere. Not the Darren Ravel, I've never heard something that's got that much information in it.
You got to take out Darren Ravel, man.
No, I'm just saying whoever has been the standard bearer on sports business until now is being eclipsed by what they're doing on the Sporting Class. And one of the things that's interesting about what you're saying, we're all realizing in real time since the pandemic, are we not? With this Soto contract, with how undervalued the WNBA is. Have we not all realized with NIL and everything else? Oh, shit, college football is the second biggest thing in American sports. And, of course, if Belichick and Andrew Luck are going over there to get away from professional sports, this thing is bigger than the XFL, bigger than the USFL. And, of course, the money is going to realize, wait a minute. I've got more money. I'll give you stability. How do I buy myself into ownership on what is the second biggest sport in America? Never mind Ryan Reynolds buying overseas. You can buy it right here. You could do, all you got to do is knock Texas's boosters out of the way. One booster has to want it more than all the other boosters so you can be what Oklahoma State. Who's that Pickens guy that just got Mike Gundy to take a pay cut in Oklahoma State because he lost every game in the conference?
His name is T. Boone Pickens.
That's right. T. Boone Pickens is going to be running every program in the country.
I'm surprised he's not.
A version of him.
There's never been a more perfect name for a booster than T. Boone Pickens.
Yeah, that's great.
David, how soon before all of this ends up happening? Like, we're in the middle of seismic change all around us. You got the left tackle for Colorado driving a Maybach. You've got just you've just got Texas and Ohio State talking openly about $21 million rosters. Like, how soon before? Where does this change end?
Well, it's now that the players are the free agents and the players are getting paid. They're no longer students at all. They're not scholar athletes. They're just paid professional athletes. We're then going to get investment into programs, and that's the NIL. That's where you could get an investment by a private equity firm, a PE firm, venture capital, into a school. Then the next step is the ownership of a team within the school. I'm saying a decade because you've got to go through these stages, because once the conferences allow teams to take on private ownership of a specific sport, they are all of a sudden, all of them, all the commissioners out of jobs, all of the people running the conferences, the NCAA, they're all done. So they're going to make sure there's some time in between, I'm saying about 10 years, or about the end of this segment.
All right. Thank you, David. Get out of here. Let me just play some sound real quick for Cote and the rest of you of Syracuse coach Fran Brown here talking about a bowl game outside of the playoffs where he's saying our guys, they don't opt out on bowl games.
Kyle McCord.
Yep. Your quarterback.
I think he's playing. What you think?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
I think he's playing.
Do you know if he's playing?
He loves football. Do you love football?
I love watching it.
Are you asking me questions?
I'm trying.
Do you like asking questions?
I don't mind.
So I don't mind answering them. I think Kyle's playing, though. Kyle's playing football. If we're going to have a football game, Kyle McCord will play in the football game. Until the NCAA says Kyle can't play football anymore, then he'll stop playing college football and he'll go play on the next level. But whenever there's a football game, he'll be at it. If we called the game in 2 hours and we said we was about to have a game, Kyle will probably be the first one there to play football.
Has anybody opted out at this point?
Man, we don't opt out around here, man. We play football. We like the game. Like, we get to play football. The more football you play, the more the NFL watches.
It would be so great if Kyle didn't play in the game after that.
Great. That would be great.
I feel like this guy's like, I don't take showers thing has gone to his head.
Well,
now he's just like, this goes viral when I do stuff.
He's feeling good about himself.
He's just feeling himself right now.
He took a shower, though. He did.
That's another one of the big changes in college football. If you're Cam Ward, why would you play in the Pop-Tarts Bowl? Okay, your draft stock is rising. Why would you risk that in a second-tier bowl with a funny name.
I totally agree with you. Why would you do that? Think about that. There is so much money and your dreams, your professional dreams on the horizon. Why would you risk that for the Pop-Tart Bowl?
What about you made a commitment to a team?
No,
you finished with the team.
You made a commitment to yourself.
I remember in playing rec league sports, if I wanted to stop playing, you're like, no, you made a commitment to this team, and you're not going to quit midseason. You're going to keep playing.
Okay, look, if UM is in the college football playoff right now, and Cam Ward says, I'm sorry, I'm not playing, that is a national scandal.
I'd be fine with that too, by the way.
Okay, I don't think many people would be, but
CNN?
Everybody's got to agree with the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that too, by the way. Anytime he wants to opt out on not being injured because he doesn't want to play football anymore because he's maximized his value in college, I'd be down with whatever that decision was.
But Greg is right. I think Christian McCaffrey made that decision many, many years ago, and people crushed him for
Yeah,
doing
but it wasn't a championship game. It wasn't as overt. I'd be curious if anyone would dare to opt out on one of these playoffs.
I think it was the Rose Bowl.
Also, how many times does that come up when people talk about Christian McCaffrey now? Nobody gives a shit.
Right.
That's my thing about any of these things. In the moment, yes, it might be a national scandal.
Right.
Guess what? 3 years away, 5 years away, nobody cares.
Does it not make any difference that Cam Ward made a lot of money this year? Like, he's already a millionaire. Like
that does. That's something they have. That is new math, I would say, that I wasn't doing just now. Where, Cam Ward gave all of his offensive linemen expensive jewelry. Cam Ward made a lot of money this year.
Yeah, but we also don't know how much money Cam Ward saved for the future, and so
Yes, you're right about that.
I mean,
but if we're going to make all of this professional, this transactional, then, in my lifetime, Melvin Bratton and Willis McGahee are sort of the examples of getting hurt at the end. Willis McGahee still became a first-round pick, but Melvin Bratton lost what was career earnings that would have changed the life of his entire family for generations by playing in an extra game. This is one of the things. Everybody loves the playoffs so much. We're going to add 4 games to somebody's schedule. Like, we're going to...
Dan, they're playing to the end of January.
Like that part is crazy. As all of these people grab at the money, I'm not going to blame the labor for saying I'm going to protect my health over the money. But you're right when you're saying the transaction has become even more financial than it's ever been. If you're paying Cam Ward millions of dollars, you're probably entitled to ask him to play in the playoff games. You're not entitled to ask him to play in the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Well, I don't know if we're cutting or not. Okay, well, here's the thing. You're not paying him. You're paying him for his name, image, and likeness.
Howdy, folks. It's Mike. And guess what? It's Miller time. The holiday season brings around lots of joy and also lots of family gatherings at your home. You're inviting people in there. You want to make sure they're happy. Why don't you make their time at your place a Miller time? Pass around that beautiful white can of triple hops brewed Miller Lite and watch the smiles adorn those faces. Make Miller Lite the official drink, the official beverage of your holiday get-together. You know why? Because it is a perfect beer for the holiday season. You'll take a sip, you'll look around, and you'll think immediately, yeah, I made the right call. It's got taste that you can depend on. No games, no gimmicks, just great beer for people who like beer. Making memories at year-end gatherings? Tastes like Miller time! Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.